Hello all, welcome to another session in AWS. So in our today's session, we're going to be discussing about an important key component of AWS, which is AMI. So this is Amazon machine image. So one can think about an AMI as a blueprint of the virtual resources which we want to get booted. So when we talk about the virtual resources, obviously, every time a user is trying to create an instance, what gets boosted? Operating system plus the applications plus the data associated with it. So we can think about your AMIs as a predefined image or a template which loads the operating system as the virtual machine for the user. So in Amazon Web Service, we have various pre-built AMIs already available, which is given as the OS in the root volume, so we have the Elastic Block Store associated with it, and with that we're going to be having some key components associated with AMI. So let's talk about the key components that comes with the AMI. So the first thing we have to remember is the root volume. So every time there is an instance created, there is a root volume associated with it. So your AMI is also going to be having the root volume, which in fact is going to be having the operating system and data associated with it. Further, if the user has deployed any application, then that's gonna stay on the AMI. So with that, we have one more important feature, which is the permission while launching. The AMI. So who can access the AMI? And who can create the AMI? Access, create, and launch. Whether the user has got the read permission, write permission, or to execute the AMI. So the third thing we have to remember is we even have the feature of mapping the devices with storage accounts or the volumes. So say we have an instance which is going to be having a volume of 30 GB. So added to this, we're gonna be having an added volume of 2 GB. So if there is an instance which is covering 30 GB added to which it is scaled up to 2 GB, the AMI also has the option of having the non-root volume associated with it. So not just the root volume, as well as the non-root volume will be mapped with the devices, your AMI. So that's about the components of AMI. So along with it, we have few types of AMIs depending on the root volume and non-root volume. So in our previous session in EBS, we discussed about root volumes and non-root volumes, which in turn is proportionally equal to the AMIs of generating the OS or launching the OS depending on the requirement of the user. So based on that, we have the types of AMI as first for the root volume, and then we have for the non-root volume. So any EC2 instance which gets launched every time a user is trying to configure the settings in AMI, generating the key pair, configuring the network settings, attaching the storage. So by default, we have the root volume, which is the EBS. So this allows us to create an instance attached with the EBS as the root volume, which enables us to perform starting the instance, stopping the instance, rebooting the instance, terminating the instance, and to save the data or preserve data whenever required. On the other hand, we have a different type of volume, which is the non-root volume, which we had already seen in the EBS session, which is of type volatile. So the root volume is non-volatile. So let's understand what's volatile and non-volatile is. So this is just similar to the RAM in your local computer, which means whatever the data that gets processed or sits over here will evaporate or will erase off once we turn off the computer. On the other hand, so there is a particular space in the hard disk drive in the local computer which will always be available when it comes to switching off or switching on the system. So you call such type of storage as non-volatile type of storage. So the root volume is of non-volatile type of storage, which means either I go ahead with stopping the instance, which means I'm pausing the instance for a while, restarting the instance until I perform termination. Any of the options that is given here, like starting, stopping, or rebooting, my data is still persistent. It doesn't leave the EC2 instance. We have other type of feature which is again provided through the type of AMI, which allows us to store the instances on temporary basis. Why do we have to go for temporary storage? Say when we are working with log files, log data, some cache data, which are generated on daily basis in exponential manner. So there's going to be huge amount of data generated here. So such type of log data could be stored with your non-root volume of AMI, which we call as ephemeral storage. So the name given by AMI for the ephemeral storage, which is a temporary storage, is called as instance store. which means when I'm creating an instance in EC2, I am launching the instance, I am connecting to the instance, I am performing pass, which means I'm stopping the instance, or I'm performing termination of the instance. This is not going to make my data available. The data is lost over here. So we basically have two types. One is the persistent storage of the AMI, and the other one is the non-persistent storage of the AMI. So added to this, we even can share the AMIs across the regions. Like how we have the public cloud, private cloud, on-prem cloud, off-prem cloud. Similarly, we can even share the AMIs on-prem. We can have it within the premise. We can share it off-prem. We can copy the AMIs over cross-region. So all such could be done. So based on that, we have various permissions given to the AMIs as public AMIs. So this is available to all the end users who are registered in the AWS service. And we have something called private AMI. This is just a permissible, or the permission is given to a specific set of users or AWS account, which is restricted, a community of users. And the accounts further. The third type is going to be the shared AMI. So this particular AMI is going to be across the community. Okay, so there's a mistake. So here the private, this is the shared AMI, which we talked about earlier. So let me just erase it off here. So this is shared AMI and this is private AMI. So we have shared AMI and private AMI. So your shared AMI is something like your public cloud, where we have a community of account holders in AWS who can send and or receive AMIs cross region. So we have private AMI where this is dedicated to a single user in the AWS account, which means only that particular user can use the AMI until or unless he or she is willing to share it across the region. So that's about the types of AMI. So let's talk about the pricing model of the AMIs here. So as far as AWS is concerned, so the pricing model, so we have something called AWS owned AMIs. This is free to use for the end users in AWS. So the examples of such AMIs are Amazon's Linux and Windows. So we have the other type of model, which is the marketplace AMI. is a paid one. So this is going to be having some predefined features, which means the operating system plus some installed softwares in it. So this comes with the configuration already built in it. And we have something called community AMI, where there are some group of users in AWS Cloud who share the data, OS, application, and the configured software, which is again given in the form of AMI template. So this is again free, but with some restrictions on it, which means we wouldn't be able to explore all the features of the AMI template. So if you would want to explore, then we may have to upgrade ourselves to marketplace and the other options, or we may have to go with the other pricing models of upgrading the AWS service itself. So that's about AMI, types, permissions, components, and the pricing model. So let's just quickly go and start the laboratory of how to create an AMI, and we'll perform cross-region copy of an AMI and further. So I'm gonna quickly go to the instance. So I have already created an instance and it is already running the Linux server in it. So the initialization phase and the pass check is all done. So I have the user data which is already pre-configured while launching the instance. So you can view the user data here. Go to Actions. So under Instance Settings, go to Edit User Data. So you would be able to view my data. So let's understand what the user data is here. So I've gone ahead with giving the command to install HTTPD. So JIT is not required, but I had given it here. So this would be required if you are trying to pull from the Git repository. Systemctl start HTTPD. I'm starting the HTTPD service. Systemctl enable HTTPD. I'm enabling the HTTPD service. This echo command is just used to print the statement, and this is going to show me the host name, which is going to be the IP address of my instance, and that's just going to be stored in the path that I've given here, which is under where. Under that there would be a folder www created, under which there would be a folder html created, under which there would be index.html that is going to be having this particular script, and this will get launched when we copy paste the IP. So this we had already seen in the previous session. Now we already have this AMI. Just gonna cancel this. So we have the instance already with us. So we can capture this itself as an AMI, which can even be viewed as a snapshot. So go to Actions, go to Image and Templates, go to the option Create Image. Give the name of the AMI. So I'm gonna go ahead with AMI demo. If you want, you can give some description about this AMI. This is a personal AMI. So the size of the instance volume which we want, in case if you want to scale up or if you would want to scale down depending on the requirement, you can go ahead with it. So just make sure the size of the instance volume is going to be the same as your AMI. So I'm going to go ahead with 30 GB, scale all the way to 30 GB. So you can add some non-root volume folders if you would want to when you're capturing the AMI. So in case if in the region, which is Ohio, we have a EC2 instance which is having the OS file, and we have a non-root volume which is going to be having the supporting files of the OS or the application which you've deployed on the OS, we can add a root volume that is going to get again copied to the region which we are choosing, where the AMI has to go and get copied. So with that, let's go create the image. So this is basically going to perform the snapshot of your entire Linux server. So go ahead with create image. Now we have the AMI created and there is an ID given for the AMI, and we have the instance ID. So let's just quickly go and check it under the images. So we have something called AMIs here. Click on that. So we have the AMI which is being just created. The status of the AMI is pending. So let's wait for the status to change from pending to available. Let's keep refreshing the page. So you can see here the visibility of the AMI is private, which means I haven't made it public yet. And it is just created by me and it is within my location, and I'm gonna perform it, the copy operation all by myself. I haven't published it to the community or the marketplace. So this is going to take some time because we are literally capturing the entire image of the operating system, which is Amazon Linux, and hence it will require some time. So the status is available now, which means the Amazon machine image, which we import every time when we are creating an instance, is launched or is created for the image or for the EC2 instance that we had launched. So now you can see the details of the AMI here, where we have the ID, the name of the AMI, the device, root device to which the AMI is connected to, and the owner account, which is my Amazon account ID, and the platform is Linux, and the root device is EBS. So the architecture it's going to be using is x86 and all those information, right? So we even have the permission options here in case if you would want to share it with other accounts. Then in case if we have performed some sharing option of the AMI, then we would be having the accounts details here, and we can even edit AMI's permission over here, like which user can read the AMI, which particular user can execute the AMI, and which particular user can write on the AMI. So all those permissions can be given here. And the storage is going to be giving us the detailed view of the root device, which is the root volume of the EBS, and tags if we have mentioned any. So usually tags are used to differentiate the resources. So it's always a best practice to go ahead with giving a key value pair. So in case if you're working with thousands of AMI images in your organization, so we can go ahead with a key value pairing, which will differentiate one resource from the other. And it would be easy for the logistics to happen. So with that, let's quickly go and perform the other operation. So in today's lab, we already discussed of how we're going to be performing the cross-region copying of the AMI. So it's all available under the Actions tab. Just click on the Actions tab and give copy AMI. So here we would be given with the ID of the AMI and the copy name that should be in the region where it is going to get copied to. And in case if you would want some description to be there once the copying operation is performed, we can give it over here. This is just for a personal verification. And we have the destination region, so we have to give the region other than Ohio. Say I would want my AMI copy to be there in North Virginia, so let me give the destination region as North Virginia. In case if I had given any tags, I can even copy the tags along with the AMIs. So this is going to make the logistics easy for us. Okay, so we can encrypt the EBS volume. So this entire AMI copy is going to be encrypted if you permit it, else you don't have to go. So just go ahead with copy AMI. So we can see the AMI copy operation for the ID is initiated. So it can take few minutes or even more than a minute because we are literally copying it from one region to the other region, which is Ohio to North Virginia. So we can check the process of the operation in AMI table in US East 1. The AMI ID of the new AMI is also given here, which is a new ID. So let's just wait for the AMI to get copied. So let me quickly go to North Virginia. Right click North Virginia, open it in a new tab. So here it is mentioned that the progress of the operation of the AMI is in the table in US East 1, which is North Virginia. So US East 2 is Ohio. US East 1 is North Virginia. So I'm going to go to North Virginia, which is US East 1. And I can find my Amazon machine image here, which we just performed. So let me refresh the page once. So the status is going to be pending until it is available for us to perform any operations further. So all we are doing is just capturing the template of the AMI and pushing it to the other region. And whatever the deployment we had done over there is gonna get reflected over here. So we're gonna be launching the server here, and we're gonna be copy pasting the IP of this particular EC2 instance here in the AMI image, and we will be able to see the server running from here. So let's wait for the image to be available. This is again going to get uh, take some time because we're literally performing cross-region copying. So the AMI is available for us now. So the status is available. You can see the creation date and the platform. It's all going to be the same because we have basically performed the copy operation. So let's go to actions. Okay, let's go to the instances. Okay, so we have an option here which is launch instance from AMI. Let's go to the launch instance from AMI. So we can even name the instance here. So let me give it as server 2. So this is under North Virginia, and I can find the details of my AMI which I had just copied. So the name of my AMI is AMI demo, copy, AMI ID is all given under the description, and we even have the image ID, the username is given here, the published date, architecture, and all those stuffs are given here, right? So we have even have the instance type, which is already configured over there. So all we have to do is go ahead with creating a new key pair. So let me give server 2 key, and let me choose the preference of my subnet as 2A zone or 1A zone here. Yeah. because it's North Virginia. So I'm going to go ahead with creating a, no, I'll go ahead with this existing security group, which is the default security group. So let me enable the security settings here. Okay, let me just launch ahead and let me alter it later. So go view all instances. Yes, we've received our instance here. So let's wait for the process to change from initializing to available. So once this is done, we may have to go proceed with checking the security features, whether we've allowed the inbound security. So as it's a Unix instance, sorry, the Linux instance, we are supposed to enable the SSH, for which we have 22 has the port number. So only then we would be able to launch the instance. But in case if we are performing copying of AMI image of Windows, then we may have to go ahead with editing the inbounds as RDP. So we are in North Virginia. So let's check the IP addresses of the instance that was created in Ohio and against the instance that is created in North Virginia. So Ohio is over here. So let's go to the instances here. So the IPs are going to be obviously different. So this is the name of my instance, and so we can see the IP address here is 52.14.89.212. And let me just go and see it here. So the IP of my instance, which we launched from the AMI of name server 2, is 54.221.162.36. So this is not a static IP, it's a dynamic one. So once the instance is terminated, the IP would obviously be released. But the private IP is always going to be the same. Yes, we have the instance available now. So let's go ahead with launching the instance. So now we should be able to run the script which we had given in the user data that was in Ohio. So now we should be able to see the same in United States, North Virginia even. So let's quickly connect. So go ahead with connect. Okay, so let me check the security settings here. Go to security, click on the launch wizard of your security, edit inbound rules. Yes, we haven't added SSH, so let's go and add SSH, add rule, add SSH, give the CIDR block as 0.0.0, save the rules. Now get back to the instances, refresh the page once. So until or unless we enable the inbound traffic with the SSH protocol, we wouldn't be able to establish the connection. And that's why it had thrown an error to us. Go ahead with connect. So the instance is launched now. So now how do we check it? We can either copy it from here. We already have the public IP and the private IP. So we have an option here to copy. So just click on that under the details of your instance. Or you can directly open it from the address tab here that's given here. So let me go to the private window. Let me give the IP. Continue to the site. Yes. So we're able to launch the server over here, which was copied through AMI instance. So now we have successfully copied the instance as an AMI image from Ohio to North Virginia. So once the practice is all done, so we are supposed to go delete the instance from both the regions as well as the AMIs from both the regions. Also, just make sure if there are any snapshots created for the instance. Let's quickly go and see. Yes, there is a snapshot created. And let's see it over here in North Virginia. So I'm switching to North Virginia. Let me check my AMI. So I have my AMI here. So let me quickly go and check the snapshots. Yes, there is a snapshot created for the instance even. So I can see the date and time. So this is the recent snapshot which was created when we perform the AMI operation, which means for any AMI that is copied cross region or any AMI that is generated within a region, so there is a snapshot which is automatically created for that particular AMI. So I'm gonna go ahead with deleting the instances. And that's about AMI and snapshots in detail. So hope you like this session. We'll discuss about a new topic in another session. See you all then. Thank you. Take care.